Excellent, thank you. I thought we'd start, Carlos, talking about the development this week that you're going to be allowed to use 5 substitutes from Saturday onwards. What do you make of that decision? Is it a good thing as far as you're concerned?
I think it's a decision that first of all, as a coaches, every coach we need to accept and adapt fast, because for me it's a decision that is going to have an impact in the development of the games. Because never is the same one game when you can make a 3 subs, or one game where you can make a 5 subs. Then first of all, more than my opinion, I think the most important thing as a coaches are to be adapted to this new scenario that appear now in the after the league was started. I think in the perfect situation, I think in the moment we know the timetable and we know the number of games that we are going to play in a row this year, I think the perfect scenario will be to make a decision at the beginning of the league. For me, is in my opinion, because these type of situations can affect to the idea that you have when you are creating one squad. Because for me, the option to have 5 subs can help the teams with more number of squad of experienced players in the squad. For me, it's no doubt about this. In the moment you make one decision about the number of the players that you want to have in the team, you have to know what are going to be the regulation. But at the same time, that's why I told you that any of my opinion can have important. The most important thing here is to be adapted. It's going to affect the game, because it's not the same to can find 3 fresh players in the pitch or to have 5. But at the same time, I understand perfectly the reason of to make the decision, because the number of games that we are going to play in a row are going to never any team in championship face this situation before. So I can understand why we are finding out this rule, but the perfect situation for me will be to make this decision before we start the league, because then every club will be free to take one or to create one squad with one more number of players or less number of players. But it's open the spaces, it's open the possibility that you can have as a coach in the team. So like every decision have some positive things, some negative things, and we are going to adapt very fast to can use this rule in trying to get the higher level of advantage.
On the positive side, does it give you greater scope with 9 players named on the bench, that you can give people like Kieran Phillips opportunities to be part of the matchday squad a little more often?
Why Kieran Phillips? Why you ask me for him and not for another of the 20 players that we have here in the club working in the league team?
I suppose just because he's a player that fans are particularly keen to see more of. He's scoring a lot of goals at the moment. He's not the only one, as you say. There are several young players that could be on the verge of getting onto the bench now.
Yes, I think this type of rule, of course, open the options to can use 5 players as a change player, but as a sub player. But at the same time, play 9 games in a row, open the spaces to the players that you have in the squad. For us, the young players are being part of the developed group that we are working with them, because from the first day they are Phillips, a more player, like for example, a more young player like Patrick Jones, like Brahima, like players like Matty Daly, or players like Romani, who play one game or couple of games with us, or players like Ben Jackson. So they are players that they are involved with the first team every day. And Phillips is being one of these players. With Phillips, I told before, is a player that he had some problem with the injuries, and fortunately we are controlling now very well, and he is working a lot of days now. In the last month, he has increased a lot the number of trainings in a row that he's doing. At the same time, his number of minutes playing with the B team is increasing too, and he needs to continue with this, develop him or any player here in the club, and we follow. I think the responsibility that we have is to follow the develop of any player that is part of this structure, because we never are going to be focusing the age of the players. We need to be focusing the performance that they are showing. But at the same time, of course, we know that never is the same to play one context than to play in another context. So this is going to be part of the development of the players. What we need to be is to continue to be focused on them, and what they have to do is to continue being focused in his ambition in to develop themselves and never stop to grow as a players.
One final one on the subs. You're obviously a very fit team and very high intensity. is the fear that if opposition managers can make more changes, that they will do that particularly towards the end of games to disturb your flow, to disturb what you're trying to achieve?
No doubt, this is one of the possibilities that this new rule open to any coach. Use more fresh players can have more impact, because now when you have 3 substitute players, if we don't talk about the keeper, if we talk about the players in the pitch without talk about the keeper, he's in the pitch too, but now I don't talk about him. Every player who is in part of these 10 players is going to face 7 players that have the same. They can face 7 players that have the same minutes in the legs of them, and 3 players that come from the bench be more fresh. And now the players that we decide to play the 90 minutes, they can face 5 fresh players that they don't have any minute in the legs. So of course, this is going to affect, but at the same time, you can suffer the consequence of this rule, and at the same time, you can use the possibilities of the same rule. So, of course, this is what I told you, it's a balance, because all the opponents are going to use this rule in the same time. The only thing that my concern was that if we know this rule from the beginning, all the teams have the same options to create one decision about the number of the players in the squad that they want to have. Now, we need to be adapted to one new rule in the middle of the season, of something that, of course, we know from the beginning, but I can understand why we are doing, because the number of games that we are going to play in a row are high number of games.
So you've had the international break. How has it been? Are you feeling like the squad is refreshed? I know you've been working very hard, but are you ready for this next intense period of games?
I think one of the keys in this period of time of work that we have the option to do with the international break was to prepare the team for this number of games that we are going to live right now. Of course, it's not the same time that you have to work with the players when you have game and when you don't have game. Now, in the moment we start after Saturday, we are going to play every 2 days or every 3 days. So the time that you can train with the players that are playing the games is reduced. So we were trying to improve all the possibilities to work a lot with the players that we have here ready to work with us. We only lost 2 players. We lost Sar because we were with the national team, and at the same time Bakuna too, because he went with his national team too. But the other players were here working with us, and it helped us to continue develop the ideas that as a team we need to have. It helped us to continue develop the character that we are going to need in this period of time, and at the same time it allows us to continue develop the style of play that for me have to be one of the things that help us to be more successful in this period of time.
Have Sar and Bakuna come back from international duty fully fit still? No injuries?
No injury for any of both players. They didn't play any minute with the national team. Bakuna because they didn't have any game. It was more like a training camp. And Sar didn't play any minute in the game that his country was playing. So both players are right here fit in a good conditions, and they had in the couple of days ago, and they could make the normal training with the team during this week.
How's the rest of the squad looking? We were waiting to see how Alex Pritchard was. How's he doing?
Alex Pritchard continuing his adaptation, in his preparation on his rehabilitation period of time now, because he continue having he's in the last part of his rehab of the injury that he had. Then he continue being with the medical department. He's not training yet with the group. Then this is how he is right now. And at the same time, Pipa is exactly in the same condition of him. He's continue working with the medical staff. He couldn't train after the injury that he had in the last game, but I think both players are close to come out to the squad.
And is everybody else fit and available for selection on Saturday?
No, right now we have the only injury that we have right now is the injury of, like I told you, of Pritchard and Pipa.
Okay. Finally, a word on Stoke. They've been pretty inconsistent before the international break. What do you expect from them?
I think they starting was the league that they are right now. I think in the last game they have find a positive results. I think it's a player with high number of experienced player in the squad, and I think it's a team with a lot of senior players, a lot of experienced players in this group. players that have made an impact before in the league. So I know that they have a good number of players. When you are watching all the squad that they have, you can find very interesting players. So every time the squad has a good number of players, you can wait a good performances in the pitch. So we need to be waiting a good performance of this team, because in some games they are showing, they are making or they are getting an impact results, and that's why they are working well, and that's why they are having a good players in the squad.
They have a reputation for being a big physical side. Are you expecting it to be quite a physical encounter on Saturday?
No doubt. I think it's a team that have a lot of alternatives and possibilities. I don't know if you can hear me well or not.
Catherine, would you mind just muting while we do the answer? Sorry, we're getting a little bit of feedback for some reason. Thank you.
Oh, really? That's...
No, it's just if you are listening to me well, that's all.
Yeah.
So what I told you is like, I think they are a team with a lot of possibilities. Of course, they have, for example, they have physical central and big central backs. They have physical and big strikers. It allows them to come different from the physical point of view. But at the same time, they have quality players in the different heights of the pitch too. So I think it's a team that I don't have to understand them that they only can play one style, because they have different options. They have a lot of possibilities in each position to use different type of players, and I think it's a team that can make different type of football depending about the intention that they arrive to the game.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Catherine. Sorry about that. Stephen, whenever you're ready, mate.
Hi, Carlos. How long are we expecting Pippa to be out for from now?
We don't know, because from the medical point of view, they are managing the feelings that they have. Today, for example, yesterday he started touching the ball, he started to work in the pitch, and we are going to see how he starts to feel the work that the medical staff is doing with him to trying to add him to the squad. So we don't have any clear date. We don't know if during the next week he's going to add to the group or when he's going to add to the group, but it's a positive thing. Know that he's in the pitch making the runnings, he's in the pitch starting to have the contact with the ball, and what we hope is to have Pipa be ready to work with the group, because we know that he's been an important player for us. And at the same time, the positive thing is to have players ready to cover this position like we have right now. We have in the Miko one player who can play in the same position. We have in Aaron Rowe one of the young players that he can play in the same position too. And even we have Stillman, who has played before we arrived here to the club in this position, and sometimes with us he was playing in a similar position. So the positive thing is that in the moment we don't have Pipa with the squad, we have the alternative to can use another type of players to cover him and to give him the best performance to the team. We need the confidence, because the Meko, for example, was playing versus Millwall, having available the option to play with Pipa, but was the Miko the player that we were thinking that could help better the team in that game, and he did perfectly. So the positive thing is that we have the confidence of the player that can play in the same position of him.
Yeah, you mentioned Richard Stearman there, and you picked him over Christopher Schindler last time out. What was the reason for that? What made you make that decision? The
decision of what exactly? Sorry.
To pick Stearman over Schindler in the last game.
Yeah.
Okay. We have right now in Sar the left foot central back that we have in the team, and for me it's important to have a left foot player playing as a left central back, knowing that Schindler the last year was playing there, and Stillman this year have been playing in the left side of the central back too. So the three central backs can play there, but the player that feels more natural in this position is Navisar. And after on the right side, we have two options of central backs. Until now, we had two options, was Schindler and Stearman. Now we add Edmond Greens, because he was working in this period of time to come play in this position. And talking about young players, we have Loic too, because Mustafa is on loan. So we have a number of different possibilities, but of course, the only natural left foot player is Navisar. So in the moment you have to make a decision, you need to be watching the level of the players, and depending about the feeling that you have in the game, of the demands that the game you want to have, you can be thinking to give more the opportunity to Schindler or to Stillman, knowing that both players are enough fit and enough ready to come play there.
Yeah, fair enough. At the other end of the pitch, you've got Danny Ward back now. First of all, how's he been on the training ground? How's his fitness? Is he getting there?
I think the development of the process to make him ready to play with the team is being positive. He was playing in the previous beating game. He was playing 45 minutes with the beating players. He was one of the players of the first team that were playing with them, and he is making the right adaptation. Now he accumulates more number of training because he could be normal part of the squad in these trainings. So this is something positive because, of course, the more number of players that he has, the better for him to can adapt and recover his normal feeling as a striker for the team.
What do you think he's going to bring to the side? Is he a different kind of player to Fraser Campbell?
I think both players are different. At the same time, both players are similar. The best thing to have Danny Ward in the squad is that now you don't have to use Koroma more as a striker because Koroma now can be more focused to play as a winger. Before, when we didn't have Danny Ward, the only option that we have as our replacement was Koroma more there because in this moment Phillips was not enough ready from the physical point of view to can be thinking of him in the first team squad. So right now we have the opportunity to be thinking in Danny Ward as an alternative to Campbell or in Campbell as alternative to Danny Ward, knowing that both players are number 9s, both players are specialists to play in this position, both players have skills to can have an impact inside to the box, but at the same time some of the similar things that both players can help the team in the building up of the team and at the same time in the playing out, especially in the long option in the playing out for the team too. So I think both players feel enough comfortable in any height of the pitch. They can drop to help the team in the building of the attacks, and at the same time both have the skills and the responsibilities to help the team in the last part of the building of the attack, in the finishing part of the attack, and both are very good players to can finish the attacks of the team. So always it's positive to have Danny Ward in the squad.
Yeah, are you looking for the strikers to get more opportunities? Because we've seen Josh Koroma has taken on a lot of shots compared to other players.
I think it's depending a lot of time about the skill of the players. Of course, never is the same to play in the central position in the pitch than to play in the wide areas of the pitch. In the central position in the central spaces of the pitch, we know that the number of defenders increase. Then to find advantages, to find situations where you have advantage to make the finishing is more complicated. At the same time, when you play more wide, when you play on the sides, you are going to face less number of players in front of you, and it allows the wingers with skills to make a finishings to can finish more and to shoot more times per game. Especially when you are playing, if you are right foot player and you are playing on the left, or if you are left foot player and you are playing on the right. So right now Koroma is playing the left side, being a right foot player, and it allows him to make more finishing than to make crosses. Isaac Mbenza, for example, who was playing on the right side of the attack, he's right foot player, so this position allows him to make more crossing than to make finishings. And Adama Diakabi, who was playing as a winger too, when he played in the left side, the position is going to allow him more to can make crosses more than finishing, and when he played on the right side, it's just the opposite. Something that we were watching versus Millwall. So I think depend about the condition of the player, but we know that one of the skills of Koroma is to make the finishing, but at the same time, in the moment you only do one of the things, you are going to be more predictable player, so you need to know how to manage the different alternative to can surprise the defenders in any position on the pitch.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing Danny Ward gives you, isn't it? Is we've seen you play 3-5-2 on occasion, and it gives you the possibility to play him alongside either Campbell or Koroma, doesn't it?
I think both strikers have the option to play together, Danny Ward and Fraser Campbell, because both players are players that can be looking for association at the same time can be moving in behind. So I think the two players are very compatible players because they are similar, they understand the game in a similar way. And for me, always is positive to have players in one squad who understand the game in the same way.
Great stuff. Thanks, Carlos. Good luck for Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Leon, thanks for your patience.
Thanks, David. Hello, Carlos. Are you well?
Yes.
Hello. I'm just wondering, as a head coach, do you look at league tables yet, or will that be later on?
Sorry, if I am.
Do you look at the table? League table?
Always you are watching for the table because it's part of the curiosity that we have as a coaches, but never is part of the something important. In the moment you are watching a lot the table, it's not going to help you to create anything better or worse. I think the only important thing that we need to be looking is be focused to game by game, be very focused in it, prepare very well the team to face each game, and at the same time to face each game in the conditions that are going to be playing right now. So we know that when you play a lot of games in a row, the position at the table can have a lot of movements in a short period of time. We know when we are playing a lot of games in a row, the results can affect the dynamic of the team too, can affect the confidence of the players in the perfect way or in the worst way. What we are very focused now is to don't have these consequences in the perfect way or in the worst way, in the worst scenario. So we need to try to create a team enough stable to can face a higher number of a lot of numbers of games in a row, and to be enough stable to face these games in the best way. So more than to be watching the table, I am watching about if we are ready or not, or we are not ready to face this type of demanding, because one situation to play 9 games in a row is going to demand of all of us the best and the hardened mindsets and the best mind conditions to face in the best way.
The international break was important for working with the players, but was giving them time to rest, to mentally refresh themselves also important?
Yes, it was also important, especially as soon as we finish the 7th game in a row that we were playing. Like in the moment that we finished to play the game versus Luton, we take advantage of the next days to trying to recover. The player had the possibility to recover during 3 days. The player that were playing the majority part of the game, the player with some problem, some injury, or they couldn't continue. They couldn't have the normal continuity with the squad. They were working because this is what we want and this is what they want too. So at the same time, I think the key is to find this balance between, first of all, the recovery of these 7 games in a row was necessary because it was impossible to work without this recovery. And in the moment that we came back to the possibilities to training, we start to increase the number of training. We try to create a lot of game situations, trying to continue develop the team, because we never can stop. In football, you never can stop to be thinking in what you are going to need. We never have to, always we are going to be challenged in a lot of game situations. So the idea always is to use all the time that we have to continue improving as a team, because this is what we have to do, not only now, always in our life when we are playing football, but especially in this moment, because you have a lot of opportunities to work with the team, because we are playing a lot, more than training a lot.